There we go. Getting my background lighting adjusted. Today, it's about thermometers. Thermometers. You know those little things that chefs pull out and stick down in food and then look at the end of it and decide whether or not the food is suitable for consumption? Thermometers, all right? And that's what we want to talk about today. These little guys, their importance and why we use them, how we use them, the right way to use them, the right way to take care of them and keep them, what to look for when you're shopping for a thermometer. I did some looking around, and what I discovered in the way of how thermometers are being sold and the price they're being sold at, I thought it was disgusting. And I thought, okay, I've got to do a video on this subject. I have to tell the public the truth about these things. If you spend $100 on them, well, let me just put it this way. You don't have to spend $100 to get a really good thermometer. I'm talking about a professional thermometer, a top flight thermometer. What if I told you you can get these things for less than $30? Different brands, really good ones, digital, instant read, that kind of stuff. Yeah, and in a small package that tucks away in a sleeve or in a pocket. It's what it's designed for. It's designed for the chef to carry it in one of his pin pockets, and it's usually on the sleeve. That's just the way that chef's jacket's designed. That's why you see those pockets there. These things are important, and right now, you know, this is the beginning of May in 2020. So we're in the middle of a bit of a crisis in the United States, and we're all kind of focused on germs. And so I thought this is a really good time to talk about thermometers, because in the kitchen we run great risks. We run risk of foodborne illness because things are not heated properly. And we need thermometers to tell us whether or not things are cooked properly. Now you can say, well, I can just leave it in there long enough to make sure. Yeah, if you enjoy your food dried out, and you can do that, sure, but frankly, I would rather have a thermometer and get really good quality food and know my food is safe. So I'm going to teach you about these things, teach you what to look for, where to go to get them, and, well, how not to spend too much money on something that can save your life. Let's get in the kitchen. Let me show you about thermometers. Come on. The importance of thermometers cannot be stressed enough. You have thermometers for your oven and refrigerator. They kind of look like this. They'll tell you if they're the right temperature. Because believe it or not, sometimes your oven, if the sensor for the oven's settings has gotten dirty, it can actually throw the oven's settings off and it won't heat properly. So having something like this in your oven's a real smart thing. Having one in your refrigerator is a smart thing to let you know if it's cold enough for your meats and your eggs and things like that. Smart thing to have, okay? So it's a safety item. Sometimes you need a thermometer to make your candy come out right, because you can't make hard candy unless you take it to hard crack temperature, and you can't make taffy without taking it to the right temperature. You cannot make something like peanut brittle without the right temperature, okay? It requires a thermometer, okay? And a thermometer like this is a fry and candy thermometer. So is this one. This one's a dial. This one uses mercury inside of a double tube. So the actual mercury vial, which is red down here, is on the inside of this tube, which is a protective tube that's made of a strong glass. You have glass here that's designed so that it's tempered and it's strong and it can handle high heat and things like that. So it's pretty effective in the kitchen and worth having. These things are real neat, and they both do their job equally well. So I'm not going to say this one or that one is better. You just pick one and enjoy it, or try both. When it comes to, let's say, a chef's thermometer, let's go down to the very basic of it. This guy here, look at that. This chef's thermometer is one that is designed so that you place it in the food, and then you read on the dial the temperature of the food. And the thing of it is it could take 20 to 30 seconds for this to give a solid reading. And yet it's more than sufficient, okay? The price on this type of thermometer, this type of chef's thermometer, when I go to restaurant supplies, and I was just making a purchase the other day from a restaurant supply, I see these all the time. They regularly sell for between $2 and $5, depending on the dial and the brand and a few other little distinctions, okay? So this one here, if I remember, it was $2.99. The whole $2 or $3. Let's just call it what it is. I needed to replace one that I've had for the last 6 or 7 years now. This is one that actually was purchased through the Cisco Corporation, which is a supplier of foods, commercial foods for restaurants and stuff. It's actually a Cooper thermometer. I was just looking for a replacement for this. It didn't have to be the same thing, but I like what this does. So I did happen to find another one right here. I purchased this one from a restaurant supply. Now, the reason I bring this up, and this is really important, when I was shopping for thermometers, I was in for a shock. Number one, I got this massive sticker shock from the cost of a regular chef's thermometer. I thought, my goodness, this is ridiculous. For you to have that much of a price on a chef's thermometer, that it's, $100 on these things. And it was not unusual, and I thought, this is ridiculous. Nobody should have to pay $100 to measure the temperature of their food. This is price gouging, as all it was, plain and simple. A lot of the designs I saw were a large rectangle that had a probe like this that folded sideways, like, a switchblade knife might fold, or, a folding knife might fold. I don't want to mess with all of that, and I don't want that big clunky giant rectangle to have to read off of. I just want something that reads the right way. This one is actually made for commercial cooking, all right? This one is made to put in the dishwasher. It can handle a commercial dishwasher at 180 degrees for up to 10 minutes. And in order to get the NSF certification that it has, which is right there on top, right there, it says NSF. To get that distinction, it has to be able to pass that test along with a few others. Okay, now the price on this, was it $100? No, this cost me $21.99. Yes, the whole $22 just for that. All right, now this thing is incredibly accurate. It's one of the most accurate thermometers I've ever seen in my life. The minute you put it in, you get an instant read. It has an alarm mode on it, so it'll tell you if you've reached a certain temperature. It can go in a dishwasher, so it can get wet. It doesn't hurt it to get wet. All right, so you have something tough here, and it doesn't cost a fortune to get it. Do not spend $100 for a thermometer unless you're just feeling like it, because you don't have to. A really top flight one, this is considered one of the best that chefs use. This kind of thermometer, $22 at a restaurant supply. Not a hard thing. Sometimes thermometers tell us if something is ready or not. Like I mentioned, the candy thermometers. You have high temperature thermometers. You have low temperature thermometers. There's all kinds of thermometers. For instance, this one here, this one is a low temperature thermometer. I use it for when I'm making beer, because the wort has to be the exact right temperature. When you're doing a mash, you have to make that mash the right temperature, or your grains will not convert from starch to sugar. So something like this is very important, okay? All kinds of thermometers, but you need to get them specific to what you do. Do you need a meat thermometer? If you have one of these, probably not, because you're going to pull it out of the oven to check it. You're going to stick this in it. This gives you an instant read, and I want to show you just how instant. So let me do this right here. Okay, let's turn this on. Okay, now, as you can see on my readout here, it says 77 degrees. Now, it's just sort of the ambient temperature. It's coming down a little bit because it is a little cooler than that in here. But the ambient temperature on the probe. Now, if I grab the tip of this probe, 80, 86, 89, 91, you can see it coming up really quick. Just me touching it will affect it that fast. So one of these, yeah, worth their weight in gold. Definitely get one of these. Make sure your food is safe. You don't have to overcook your chicken. All you have to do is just get a good thermometer and then check it when the temperature is the right thing. Your chicken's done. And you get a nice juicy chicken cooked the right way. You have the right equipment. An absolute essential for your kitchen. Do not go another month without it. Put this as just part of your regular shopping list. Make sure you get one of these. And if there's other interests that you have, like baking, get one for your oven. If you have an interest, let's say in candy making, get some designed for candy making. All right, because this one, I can't use this thermometer for candy making. I can use it for something I'm roasting in the oven, yes, but for candy making, that requires leaving something in there for a long period of time. I'm not going to stand and hold this in the candy, because you have to wait as it slowly comes up in temperature, and at the very right moment, then do what you have to do. You need something that can remain in the pot, okay? So sometimes a different style is needed, and sometimes the basic chef's thermometer is enough. Please get your thermometer. Please be safe. For goodness sake, please protect yourself. What is your health worth? What is the health of your family and friends worth? And what is the cost of a trip to the hospital because you had a foodborne illness? Foodborne bacteria and other pathogens are bad news. You don't want to meet up with them. And one of these guys helps to prevent that. This helps to make it safe. So do yourself that favor. It's a very low cost. And another thing, when it comes to cost, don't get ripped off. There's a lot of chef's thermometers out there that a chef would never carry. If it's big and clunky and it will not fit in the arm pocket of a chef's jacket, hang it up. If you've ever noticed on a chef's jacket, they have little tiny narrow pockets. You can put a pin in one, but generally they're for thermometers. Okay, it's part of the uniform. It's a necessary thing, an absolute must. Please get your thermometer. Don't spend too much. Make sure you don't get ripped off. Get something worth having. And please have a good day. If you would take a look at Texas Cooking Today, I got a lot of recipes on there, okay? And every recipe is 2 videos, okay? So one's just a recipe video. Like everybody else on YouTube, I put out a little simple recipe video that doesn't show you how to do it, okay? That's what the comp does it, that's what I do. I also like to do one step further. There's not much competition on cooking tutorials. And so I want to give out really detailed information in tutorials. So for every recipe, there's 2 videos. One is a tutorial, the other is just the recipe. Please take a look. Take a look down in the description box there. There's some links. My website you'll find there. That's where you'll find the recipes for Texas Cooking Today, merchandise for Texas Cooking Today, and other products that I sell. Well, like the shirt that I'm wearing. Folks, thank you very much. Have a good day. And please be safe.